Guy Fieri is one of the most famous chefs in the world, with his own TV shows, best-selling cookbooks, and a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. But even today, years after he first became a household name, something strange happens whenever his name comes up. Maybe you've seen it online, a snarky tweet mocking his spiky bleached hair, a meme joking about his loud shirts, or a comment calling him a fake chef. Why does a guy who's so successful still get so much hate? After all, he's just a chef who loves food, right? What did he do to make people so angry? Was it his wild personality, his tattoos, the way he yelled, "Welcome to Flavortown" on TV? Or is there more to the story, something deeper that explains why so many people piled on him and why others now say he's been misunderstood all along? Guy Fieri wasn't always a lightning rod for drama. Born Guy Fieri, he grew up in Ferndale, California, a small town where everyone knew each other. As a teenager, he fell in love with food during a trip to France, where he tasted new flavors and learned cooking basics. Back home, he worked in restaurants, flipping burgers and washing dishes. After college, he chased his culinary dreams, opening his first restaurant, Johnny Garlic's, in 1996. It was a hit, blending bold flavors with a fun, casual vibe, a style that would later define his TV persona. Before we continue, we've noticed 81.0% of you that watch our videos aren't subscribed, and only 19.0% are. If you love breakdowns of videos like this, don't forget to hit that sub button. In 2006, Fieri auditioned for Food Network's Star, a reality show where chefs compete for their own TV series. With his bleached hair, flame print shirts, and catchphrases like, "That's money, baby," he stood out immediately. Judges loved his energy and he won the competition. His prize? A show called Guy's Big Bite, where he cooked comfort food with a twist. But it was his next show, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, or Triple D, that made him a superstar. The concept was simple. Fieri traveled the country, visiting small family-owned restaurants and celebrating their food. Fans loved how he treated every cook like a rock star, whether they were frying chicken in Alabama or slinging tacos in Texas. By 2009, he was everywhere, hosting food festivals, selling BBQ sauces, and even voicing a cartoon version of himself on SpongeBob SquarePants. But not everyone was celebrating. In 2009, something strange happened to Guy Fieri. Even though he was one of the most popular chefs on TV, the internet decided it didn't like him. People on blogs and forums made fun of his spiky bleached hair, bright bowling shirts, and sunglasses worn on the back of his head. They called him doughy and said he looked like a midlife crisis on legs. But it wasn't just his clothes. Viewers of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, or Triple D, started complaining that he was too loud and too over the top. Instead of acting like a regular food critic, he fist-bumped chefs, shouted things like Flavortown, and looked like he was having way too much fun. And some people thought it was all an act, that he was just pretending to be excited about burgers and barbecue to get attention. Others thought he was ruining food TV by celebrating greasy comfort food instead of fancy high-end cuisine. In a now infamous 2012 interview, Chef Anthony Bourdain, who many people admired for his serious approach to food, did not like Guy Fieri's style at all. Bourdain said that Fieri's shows were like a dystopian nightmare and joked that Fieri looked like a cartoon of a guy who likes beer. When Bourdain called Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives a dystopian nightmare, he was likely criticizing the way Fieri's show celebrated greasy, unhealthy fast food, while ignoring the kind of high-quality, carefully crafted cuisine that Bourdain admired. To him, Triple D represented everything wrong with American food culture: excess, cheesiness, and style over substance. His comment about Fieri looking like a cartoon of a guy who likes beer was a dig at Fieri's exaggerated personality and appearance. The spiky bleached hair, sunglasses, flame-covered shirts, and catchphrases made Fieri seem more like a character from a Saturday morning cartoon than a serious food expert. Bourdain likely saw him as someone playing a role rather than a genuine chef, which is why he didn't take him seriously. The hate went deeper than looks. Critics argued Fieri wasn't a real chef because he didn't work in fancy kitchens or cook serious food. They called him a sellout for hawking products like BBQ sauce and frozen pizzas. When Guy Fieri opened Guy's American Kitchen and Bar in New York City in 2012, the backlash was immediate and brutal. The restaurant was meant to be a celebration of his over-the-top culinary style, but critics tore it apart. Pete Wells from the New York Times wrote a now infamous review titled, "Is This the Worst Restaurant in New York?" In it, he mocked dishes like the lava-like nachos and questioned why the toasted marshmallow dessert had a strange fishy aftertaste. Other critics piled on, calling the restaurant an overpriced tourist trap with bland food and tacky decor. The public followed suit, with foodies and late-night comedians using it as proof that Fieri wasn't a real chef. When the restaurant shut down in 2017, many celebrated as if justice had been served, gleefully declaring that the diner's, drive-ins, and dives host had finally been exposed as a fraud. But the criticism didn't stop at bad Yelp reviews and sarcastic tweets. It turned into something far uglier. Online, the hate became deeply personal. His blog and social media were flooded with comments like, "You're an embarrassment to cooking," and "Nobody likes you, Guy." People who had never even set foot in his restaurant joined the pile-on, treating him as if he were a villain rather than a TV chef. Even his charity work, which had helped raise millions for disaster relief and first responders, wasn't safe. Instead of praise, he received accusations that he was faking kindness for fame, with skeptics refusing to believe that a man with frosted tips and flame shirts could genuinely care about helping people. No matter what he did, the internet had made up its mind. Guy Fieri was the enemy. One big reason was that the rise of the internet made things even more difficult for him. During the late 2000s, many websites and blogs started to appear that loved to make fun of famous people. The internet was full of critics who enjoyed writing mean things about celebrities. Websites like Gawker and even some sites made just for hating on Guy Fieri became very popular. His unique style, with his spiky hair and loud personality, made him an easy target for these online trolls. And they made jokes about the way he looked and the way he talked, and these jokes spread quickly on the internet. It seemed like every day there was a new comment or article mocking him. Even though these comments hurt his feelings, many of the people making them did not see the hard work he put into his job. But it was not only the internet that criticized him. Some of the negative feedback also came from people who loved food very much and believed that only the best, most serious chefs should be celebrated. They thought that Fieri's mistakes in the kitchen, even if they were small or made in a fun spirit, showed that he was not a real chef. These people were very strict about what they thought a chef should do and how they should act. They could not understand why someone would care more about making people laugh and enjoy food than about following all the traditional rules of cooking. In their eyes, Fieri had made mistakes by not respecting these old ideas about food and cooking. But here's the twist. While the internet laughed at him, regular folks loved him. Triple D became the Food Network's most watched show. Small restaurants he featured saw lines out the door for weeks, and Fieri didn't let the hate slow him down. "I'm not here to impress the critics," he said in a 2013 interview. "I'm here to celebrate the cooks who don't get celebrated." Around 2017, something shifted. People started noticing that Guy Fieri wasn't just a TV clown, he was quietly doing incredible things. In 2017, massive wildfires swept through Northern California, destroying homes and leaving families with nothing. Firefighters battled the flames for weeks, risking their lives to save communities. Fieri didn't just donate money or send thoughts and prayers, he showed up. He rolled in with a mobile kitchen and personally cooked 15,000 meals for firefighters, first responders, and displaced families. He stayed, working alongside volunteers, making sure people had warm food when they needed it most. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic shut down restaurants across the country, leaving thousands of servers, cooks, and small business owners without jobs. While many celebrities posted encouraging messages online, Fieri took action. He launched the Restaurant Employee Relief Fund and raised an astonishing $25 million to help struggling workers pay their bills. But he didn't stop there. He partnered with the National Guard to deliver meals to hospitals, ensuring that overworked doctors and nurses had something good to eat while they worked long, exhausting shifts. Even after the pandemic, Fieri continued to step up when people needed help. In 2023, a California police officer was killed in the line of duty, leaving behind grieving family, friends, and colleagues. Fieri quietly paid for the officer's funeral, making sure the family didn't have to worry about expenses during such a difficult time. He also provided food for 1,000 mourners, giving them one less thing to worry about as they gathered to say goodbye. Over the years, Guy Fieri has gone from being seen as a goofy TV personality to a true hometown hero. He doesn't just talk about kindness, he lives it. His generosity changed minds. Chef Jose Andres, a humanitarian who works with Fieri on disaster relief, said, "Guy's heart is as big as his personality. He doesn't just write checks, he shows up, gets dirty, and cares." Even former haters apologized. A viral Reddit post titled, "I was wrong about Guy Fieri. I used to think he was a joke. Then I saw him cooking for wildfire victims at 3 a.m. in the rain. The guy's a legend." Fieri also never changed his style. He kept the bleached hair, kept yelling Flavortown, and kept wearing shirts that looked like they'd been tie-dyed by a unicorn. "Why would I change?" He told People magazine, "This is me. I'm having fun, and I'm not hurting anyone." Today, Guy Fieri's reputation is split. To some, he's still a punchline. To others, he's a folk hero, a guy who stayed true to himself, ignored the haters, and helped millions. So, does he deserve the hate? The answer is no. Sure, his style isn't for everyone, but mocking someone for their clothes or haircut misses the point. Fieri never claimed to be a Michelin star chef. He's a cheerleader for underdogs, a guy who uses his fame to lift others up. As Triple D fan Adam Glassman put it, Guy's the opposite of a snob. He taught me that great food isn't about fancy ingredients, it's about heart. In the end, Guy Fieri's story isn't about hair or nachos, it's about how we judge people before we know them. He could have quit when the world called him a joke. Instead, he laughed louder, worked harder, and proved that kindness and a good plate of nachos can change minds. So next time you see a meme mocking Guy Fieri, remember, behind the flaming shirts and frosted tips is a guy who's fed more hungry people than most chefs ever will. And if that's not a real chef, what is?